All right, thank you for staying with us. And this morning we are packed our bags already. We are airborne and we are heading straight to the treasure base of the nation, Rivers State, and it is about the rule of law. About the people, about what is coming from our courts, and the judiciary in focus, the executive as well. What many persons have called power tussle, especially what looks like using the instruments of the state, to pursue some personal aggrandizement. Some other persons will say it's not about that. It's just about the rule of law. We have a nation, we have a state to run, and regardless of whatever the feelings are, the law is the law, the rule is the rule. But some persons are looking beyond that to say maybe there is more than meets the eye. And it's about, in the series of events that has happened in the treasure base of the nation, especially the camp of the incumbent governor, Sassin Fubara, and his predecessor, that he used to call his Oga, that's the former River State governor and the minister of FCT, Barrister Ezenwo, Yesom Wike. This time, it went to the court, and you know what the court said a few days ago, and it was reported widely on almost every newspaper in Nigeria. And the office of the Accountant General, at some point was said to have stopped, the River State allocation due to a court order. And these are the issues as well. And the office, let me say, the office of the Accountant General of the Federation has halted payment. This was days ago, by the way, of federal payment of federal allocations to River State government in compliance with a court judgment, just as the Court of Appeal in Abuja had the appeal challenging the verdict on Friday. The three-member panel of the Court of Appeal, led by Hama Barka, on Friday reserved judgment on the state government's appeal against a lower court decision stopping the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, from releasing the South-South State monthly allocation. The River State Governor, Sim Fubara, and the state government have filed the appeal to challenge the 30 October judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja. In the now disputed verdict, the Federal High Court Judge Joyce Abdul Malik described the disbursement of monthly allocations to the state since January as a clear constitutional breach that must not be tolerated. The judge subsequently barred the CBN, the Accountant General of the Federation, the state banker, Zenith, and Access from allowing the state government to access funds from the Consolidated Revenue and Federation accounts. Governor Fubara and River State are promptly appealed against the decision, and other appellants are the Accountant General of River State and Zenith Bank PLC. This is the context. There was a court order saying whatever has been paid to River State from January, it's not right. It's a breach of the Constitution. And so River State appealed. We'll understand there is, an update on this matter, another development from both ends as well. This morning we have been joined by Rivers men, in different capacities, an aide of the governor, especially on new media, who is not a stranger to this program again. Honourable Bernard Odike joins us from Rivers this morning. Good morning, Honourable.
Good morning, Mr. Femi.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. And of course, he's flanked virtually by, Pan-Africanist and a lawyer, somebody who speaks up on what he believes should be the right way of doing things. And of course, a friend of the program as well, Barrister Chetam Nwala, is here with us virtually. Good morning, Barrister. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me once again on your program.
All right. Thank you very much. And okay, let me start with Honourable Odike. You are the one in power now. Your principal, he is Sassin Fubara. What do you make of this judgment? I said it earlier, there have been developments on, the 30th of October, judgment of the court. But all of this playing out, the government of River State, what do they think it is? You assist the government on the new media, in the conversation at the government house, at the cabinet meetings, the position of River State, starting for that court judgment, the first one, what do you think is happening? Is it just the rule of law, or you think there is more than meets the eye? Honourable Odike, that's for you.
First of all, we just know, I'm with you here.
Yes,
First of all, the issue, we know what the issue is, the foundation of the whole problem. Issue of somebody coming up to say that somebody is trying to take his structure, and then everything. That's what's bringing us to where we are. And unless ordinarily we wouldn't be where we are. So it's a case of a struggle for, control of the resources of the state. By right, the governor or the government of the state should not be hindered from, assessing and having whatever that is due the state for the day-to-day running of the state and other, projects of governance. But today we have a case where somebody would go to the courts, asking the court to stop or withhold the allocation due the state and every other fund that should be available to the state for the running of the government and for the running of, the activities of the state. So that's where we are. But meanwhile, you're talking about the rule of law. You've rightly refreshed our memories, with regards to the court case that was given, the ruling or whatever that was given on 30th of October and the subsequent appeal by the state government and how the court has reserved judgment. We hope and believe that just like we know, it is very, very illegal and wrong for a federal high court to meddle into, such a matter. For instance, issue of, issue of a state law should be dealt with at the state high court and not the federal high court. So I think, first of all, the federal high court lacks jurisdiction to interfere in such a matter. So I believe that the Court of Appeal should be able to sit up to the occasion and rise up to the occasion and then do justice as we expect. I don't know if I've answered your question.
All right. Let me just hang in there, please. Let me go to a barrister. We'll now come back to you. Honourable, barrister, okay, maybe in view, Barrister Nwala here. On 30th of October, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Justice Abdul Malik highlighted that in January, River State has received and spent allocations based on, his words, illegitimate budget, describing this as a constitutional aberration. And that, suit was filed by Martin Amaule, leaders of assembly, to say the budget that was passed initially was done by just 4 persons that are loyal. They call it a sixth House of Assembly as well, to Governor Fubara to say it's illegal. It can't happen. So and according to the law, you can't spend out of budget. Whatever has been passed by that House of Assembly is illegal. And it was on that ground that Martin Amaule, and his ilks went to court, and Justice Abdul Malik agreed with them to say, we are going to stop this. This is not normal. You are the lawyer here. Can you please walk us through that to say Martin Amaule is right? They have the numbers as well. Now, 4 members of assembly passed the budget. So where does that happen? So let's take it from the beginning. How right is this? Abinishio.
Well, once again, I want to thank you for having me on this show. This particular angle which you're coming from this morning, we have been over it on several occasions,
right,
about the rightness and the wrongness. But it now becomes more difficult to talk about because it's, of course, it's currently a serious matter, subject of court decision currently at the Supreme Court. So I wouldn't want to go about whether the rightness or the wrongness of the said of the said matter in court already. However, the aspect I want us to understand is that if you look at both the arguments of Martin and Evelyn, and you look at the arguments of those on the team angle, you look at the fact that you would agree with each of them that they seem to be right with the argument because the argument is reasonable in circumstance until the court makes a pronouncement. The reason is because this particular angle of the law is a novel angle of the law. It has not been litigated upon before now, and it has not been tried before now, and this is the first time we're having it being in court. So it is what the Supreme Court decides in this particular matter that makes it a locus classico in the sense in which this is actually being decided upon as to the legitimacy or legality of 4 persons or 3 persons currently at the House of Assembly passing a budget and such a budget having effect. But we should also not forget that within the set time when that budget was passed, that's the argument I've always held, there was a court order, an interim order that actually had legitimized the leadership of the said House, then as led by Edison Ewie. So it was on the strength of that, those acts were actually carried out. And whether a subsequent court later on gets to call those actions to be wrong, but within the time that said court order was on, that those actions were legitimate. Those actions were legitimate. But you know, the Somoto short judgment has also been confirmed by the Court of Appeal, quashed that whole thing. But you can as well agree with me that even as much as it has quashed the exercise that was carried out, the appellant, who is now the governor at this point, has the right to appeal to the Supreme Court, which they have also exercised. And it is now for the Supreme Court to make its decision. But before the Supreme Court makes its decision, we cannot either sit in our home to say this one is right or this one is wrong. We are only just going to be preempting the Supreme Court, which is not the right thing to do in the circumstance. So, truth be told, as of today, I would always advise that we wait and see the outcome of the Supreme Court judgment, which naturally, the Supreme Court judgment, I fear I would not want to also give a verdict to on the first subject, but we should wait for the Supreme Court judgment and rely on whatever the Supreme Court says in the circumstance, and then we can now pick it up from there.
All right.
Okay, I'll move over to Honourable Odike. Now, there were reports 2 days ago that the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation would not release funds to Rivers State. You know, that's in compliance to the court judgment that bars the CBN from releasing funds to the Rivers State. You know, the FAAC allocation disbursement to federal, states, and local governments in October. Now, that report came in and it actually stirred controversy before we got another report yesterday that the federal government would actually disburse the funds to River State. When the very first report came out, what was it like for you? What was going through your mind when you thought or when you realized that River State may not be getting the allocation for the month?
Well, the answer to that question is that, just like I said earlier on, you know, the part of it is that the 4-man assembly or 3-man assembly have been carrying on legitimately or with whatever they've been carrying on, because we know where we're coming from, you know, and then the past budget that the state government had been using to run the state. And then if anybody feels that those budgets or the budget passed, that it's being used illegally or whatever, or that whatever the bill or the law, that the law is illegal, I think that's a state law. The right place to challenge it would have been the state high court. So even when we heard that there was such a judgment, barring the state from accessing his money, or from, barring the central bank, the accountant general of the federation, and the rest of them from releasing funds to the states. We were albeit believing that such a declaration may not stand, or may not be the case, because even at that level, there should be legal, some kind of legal advice to the appropriate authorities. And later, to the truth to our thinking, or truth to my own thinking, we also heard that the federal government had said that they won't withhold the River State allocation. So that's where we are.
Okay. I'd like to know if that particular, judgment or the order was complied with. I mean, River State does not get its allocation for months. Do you think River State can stand on its own, like continue with the business of the day without the federal allocation? I'd like to know, because I want to know how dependent is River State, to the FAAC allocation.
Two things. I am an aide to the governor. After that first judgment of the Federal High Court, I think Joy Abdul Malik, whatever the name, gave, the governor openly declared that the state will not be granted. In fact, he declared that even the following day he was going to pay the contractors. And he has been running the state. So I would queue behind the statement of my boss, to say that the state is upbeat, and whatever the distractions are, it will not be enough to grant River State. We have come to a point where, yes, fine, there's a place of rule of law, but there's also a place of public interest, and we know where we're coming from. All these things just as a result of one man having inordinate ambition to control everything and everybody. Else wouldn't be here. Like Barrister Cheta said, talking about the legitimacy of the four-man or three-man assembly. If not for like today, we hear them say that the defection they did, the videos and everything that are coming up and all the rest, that they were concocted. And you begin to wonder, what kind of people are these? People who claim to be honorable, now denying acts that they put up. Martin Amegule, before the House of Assembly, read their defection letters, and they even went ahead to the courts to defend the reasons with an affidavit of why they defected. And yet the same people turned around to deny that they didn't defect. My God. It's an aberration. If not that they did what they did, for instance, they were members of PDP and wrongly defected, and the constitution was clear that having defected that way, that they should vacate, they should lose their seats. And having lost their seats, the remaining members of the House went ahead, because the House cannot be granted because some majority members of the House willingly, left the House, maybe to grant the government of the state. They willingly left the House. So assuming, that they actually, just left as they decided not to come back to begin to drag. So the state should be granted because a set number of men and women decided to leave the assembly. Therefore, the state should be granted. Like I have seen from the Constitution too, that when people talk about the minimum, the minimum number of persons that is expected to be in to form whatever the House of Assembly, I think that law, to my understanding, should just be based on for instance, Bayelsa State has only eight local government area. And then, for them to be able to have a House of Assembly, they have more than about 24 or thereabouts, So.
All right.
Honourable Odike. Okay, some issues there with the connection, but would definitely, reconnect with him. I do not.
Exceeding.
Okay. Go ahead, please. Complete your thought.
It's not exceeding 40 or thereabouts. Meanwhile, they have 44 local government area. So I think that particular law only stipulates for the establishment of the House. While after the House had been established, the issue of quorum is based on the number of persons per time. For instance, 27 members of the House decided to leave, and the remaining 4, 1 died. So those 4, now when we talk about quorum should be based on the 4 that's remaining. Pending, because even when they sat, after the House was legitimized, INEC was written to conduct election to fill up those positions. So if election has been held, we would have had complete 32 seats in the House, and the House will continue. But that has not been done. So the 3 persons today are carrying on based on the fact that, you know, they believe that what they have done or what they are doing is right. Because Martin Ameghule and co. left the House willingly.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Honourable Odike. Let me move over to Barrister Chitam at this time. Are you still with us, Barrister Chitam?
Yes, now I'm clear.
Okay. Now, from the legal angle, you know, the Martin Ameghule-led House of Assembly, you know, the leader, the speaker now, Martin Ameghule himself, who led that 26 other lawmakers loyal to Minister Wike, is saying that they never defected to the APC, but we saw video evidences where they openly defected to the APC. Now they said they never left PDP. How do you think that will stand legally, where you know, people that had already defected are now saying we never left PDP? There were video evidence. They, you know, they gave speeches. They called for media conferences and all of that, and said they have left the PDP because of the rift going on in the party at the time. But legally, where does this stand? Do we still consider them PDP members, or do we say they have already left PDP, they are in APC? Or they are hanging, as we may want to put it, they are neither near here nor there?
Well, truth be told, this current legal crisis in the River State has also brought up comedians in course of the entire process, which is to a very large extent very sad. Truth is, the principle of law is he who alleged must prove. Now, if you're saying you have not defected, I've listened to a lot of lawyers on the side of Ameghule on this issue of defection.
Yeah.
And those who have claimed that there were no party registered that has been registered and others. And I have had just one argument in everything they have said. And I said, okay, I agree with you. They have not formally written down their names in any register at the ward level. Another. But when it comes to defection properly so called, because I had worked at the National Assembly and I still consult for the National Assembly. And I understand that when it comes to defection, you need not go to your ward, especially as a National Assembly member, which also translates to the House of Assembly. You need not necessarily go to your ward to officially register with the said party before your defection at the National Assembly is being recognized. All you need to do is to transmit a letter to the Speaker or the Senate President, as the case may be. The Senate President, upon resumption of plenary, reads your letter of defection. Immediately he finishes reading your letter of defection, stating that you have moved from Party A to Party B. Of course, you know, at the National Assembly, different political parties sit on different sides of the assembly. They don't sit together. They are not mixed. So once that defection has been done, you will carry your bags, your load from wherever the party you're coming from, and move to the seats of the new party. This is not giving record for the fact whether you have done anything at the local, at your village or your ward level. That is officially a defection. And this has been my argument to these particular persons who have held this opinion. So, but it all depends on how these guys want to prove that they have not defected.
But if the defection was not done in black and white, if the defection was not, you know, penned down, like you said, a letter written to the secretariat and all of that, do you think it counts?
No, for a National Assembly member, the for me in my own reasoning, for a National Assembly member, the requirement is different. Or for a House of Assembly member, the requirement is different from the average man on the street. The requirement is different. I can wake up this morning and say, oh, I start singing on your mandate, and that does not make me an APC member. It doesn't matter. At all, I need to take certain steps. But for a member of the House of Assembly, there are certain steps that is actually being recognized by the House that this defection has taken place, which they have followed through in course of this whole thing, including the videos that have been tendered here and there and all that. But sadly, of course, you know, they would want to look for it. That's why what they're relying on is the issue of denial, which for me, I think may not avail them eventually, where the court decides to look at that issue of defection, hook, line, and sinker. So, but generally, when it comes to defection naturally should get down to the word of whomever is defecting in the circumstance. But this is a special situation which the formal process has taken place and has also been followed in the circumstance. So I think I do not also think it will avail them. Then I would just want to brush up a bit on the issue of Justice Lifu's decision on allocation. You know, sadly, I had expected the governor to as well take up an appeal with regard to the matter and stopping the implementation of the said appeal. I think when the governor made the statement my brother earlier on, Honourable Odike, referred to, I want to think that the governor did not really understand, or probably his lawyers did not brief him correctly about the details of that particular judgment. Because that judgment was devilish, that judgment was wicked. Now, in that, why I said the governor did not understand. If the governor had understood, he would even realize that even the IGRO of the state was also affected by that judgment. So the River State would have been grounded. If that judgment is being implemented as of today, River State is grounded. Yes. If we look at the judgment order of that judgment, the judgment order was not about allocation like the media had reported. I had said on different media platforms that the judgment order was not just about allocation. They didn't just stop the allocation. They stopped every money in these accounts that were thanks to the particular judgment, both allocation, monies currently within ministries, departments, parastatals of private state government. It was that deep. It wasn't just about the allocation. It included both our IGRO, the internal generated funds of River State. Most persons didn't even know. It was until I read the court judgment and looked at the judgment given by the court. And I'm like, what the media is even reporting is lighter than what the court had done in the circumstance. So if that judgment is being implemented today, River State will be grounded because you cannot access any funds, including your IGRO, which naturally the governor was in his statement relying on to boost the running of River State. And some of us are also praying that judgment should not be implemented at any point else. Our state will definitely be grounded. And that's why some of us kicked solely and strongly against that particular judgment. So I think the governor probably was not briefed about the implication of that judgment when he was making that statement. But if he understood what that judgment was all about, he wouldn't have made the statement he made that River State can still run even when you have stopped the allocation, when they have stopped monies that belongs to ministries and parastatals of River State, and as well as stopped the IGRO from coming in. How then where do you function? Would you be running River State from his own personal pocket? That means it's not going to work and all that. So some of us are excited that he has taken steps to making sure that that whole judgment is placed on hold pending the determination of the appeal before the Court of Appeal.
All right. Honourable, Barrister Odike, let me stay, Barrister Chetam rather, let me stay with you. Now, in all of this, many persons will easily agree it is just a power tussle, using the instrument of the state to achieve these things. Okay, we are loyal to this cause, other persons are loyal to another cause or another camp. Okay, if you won't do what we want, then we'll render, whatever you are doing, we'll ground it. So when you don't have money and then you don't have enough, to run a state, maybe you will bend the knee, and some will say, no, never, we'll never bend the knee. We are liquid enough to move ahead. Now, the government was giving, there was a notification of appeal, and the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation said, in as much there is a notice of appeal, we maintain status quo. We'll go ahead to do what we have to do to let rivers have their money pending the outcome of that appeal. Now, it's about legality, it's about politics, it's about power play. As an activist, let me ask you before I come to Honourable Odike, what does this make us to be? Or is it just part of so? Does it happen everywhere like that? That, when some persons want to make a point or make sure that they stamp their foot on the ground to say we are the ones in this place, every other person must, dance to our tune. The instrument of the state might be used to achieve these aims. So in as much that is what is looking like to a majority of the people, what kind of people does that make us to be?
I have always held the opinion that we are a product of the bad leadership that we have, because our leaders do not fall from the sky. They come from within us. And if they come from within us, it also shows that we have individual bad characters. And our individual bad characters are translated into the kind of leaders we have also produced over the years. I give you an example. Look at the civil service and look at us as individuals on the road, on the street, driving and trying to beat traffic lights, how much we get to beat laws and try to bypass things to get advantage over others. Even when we do not manage a thing, a civil servant will sit on the file until he gets 500 naira or 2,000 naira from whomever needs the file for the file to be processed. Now, this is the type of country we are. These are the kind of people we are. So we're not far from the leadership. We are the leaders. And leadership, what starts with followers. You cannot raise them because when you have poor followers, you cannot have good leaders. That's why in most of my interviews, I keep on maintaining the fact that I do not sympathize so much with the governor of Rivers State. The reason why I do not sympathize with him is because he joined Wike for 8 years. He dealt with Rivers people for 8 years. He knows the character of this man. He understands the personality of people better than the way you and I understand it. They dealt with us for 8 years. Of course, we can press down on opposition voices in this country, in this state. Press down on opposition voices just to force the governor to our throat. We accepted him at some point because we had no option. We accepted it. Some of us were shouting over the way he was going about the election. This is the kind of person. You are dying with him. Both of you, these are the things you did against Rivers people. Today now, you are now an angel before us. To me, I don't think that such a person is an angel. You still have the same traits. Like your mentor, you can't be completely different from your mentor. And that's why I have held the opinion that there is no difference between the governor of Rivers State and the minister of the FCT. The difference is probably in their names. But because this has been a mentee of the minister of the FCT, he has been a mentee, of course, for over 8 years. He was a mentee, or for 8 years, he was a mentee of the minister of the FCT. He has the traits of the minister of the FCT. So you understand how this man operates. So when people start creating a situation where some of us will be sympathetic to the governor of Rivers State, I am sometimes restrained. And that's why I have always stood by the side of the law, what the law should be in every circumstance. If the law favors the minister in this circumstance, it is the law. If it favors the governor in this circumstance, it is the law. But as by taking a side with respect to the minister of the FCT and the governor of Rivers State, it's sad that some of us might be difficult for some of us to take side on this particular issue. Because we are all victims of the high-handedness of the two of them. Conniving to deal with us during the elections, it was terrible in our state. It was terrible. They stopped opposition political parties from campaigning, from using the primary schools to campaign. People have benefited all these things from the hands of the FCT minister. It was evil. It was an evil act. He never cried against it because it was an act that benefited him at the time. You know the tendencies of this man. So my own morality, if my morality would not even allow me to come and say, oh, the minister is an evil man without rubbing in the governor.
All right.
Because if you were one of the last persons who saw the governor before he went to sleep, almost on a daily basis, being a close ally of the minister, when he was governor.
All right.
And you supported all his deeds, and you never at any point criticized him. You know the tendency, you know what is it to reverse people? You were part of that system. You never saw anything wrong with it. So
all right.
Today, people want us to come and sympathize with the government. It becomes difficult. Because the scars of what they did to us yesterday is still with us.
All right, Barrister, yeah. Honourable Odike, I'm sure you've heard Barrister Chitam to say, you know, legality aside, if I may, just hold on, please, to say, legality aside, whatever you, handlers of the government, people, supporters of Safubara is talking about, that is what you people did also to others as well. It was part of the government when it was good. They were, you know, singing the praises of the same man. And now, the Barrister Wike that people, some of you are now criticizing for holding your principal at the jugular. It didn't just change overnight. Possibly that's how and what he has always been. Now that you are the one suffering, you know, that particular holding and choking of the breath, now you are complaining that nobody should even cut you some slack. You want to respond to that?
Yeah, first of all, before I respond to that, let me also try to correct an impression earlier made by Barrister Chitam.
Yeah.
The governor was ignorant of the judgment earlier given, stopping the allocation to the state and for the state to access any of his funds. The judgment was very clear, even to a layman, that it also affected, just like he said, every aspect of the state government accessing funds, both internally generated and so on and so forth. The governor understood. But like I said earlier, we understand that anything that has to do with state law, are you with me? Anything that has to, if you have been listening to me keenly, I have hammered on that. Anything that has to do with the state law, that the Federal High Court cannot assume jurisdiction over, you know, matter that has to do with a state law. It's a case that the State High Court should ordinarily deal with. So we knew that that judgment, just like we say, it's all about power tussle. Somebody trying to use the instrumentality of the Federal High Court to gain some kind of legality or legitimacy to have his way. So having said that, I'm sure I have cleared air on that. Then coming back to the assertions made by Chitam, I understand Chitam was on the other side of the divide during Wike's reign as governor. If you, even before the coming of Wike, Governor Sim had also been around working with, in fact, even when Amechi was governor, you know, he has also handled finance issues. And his pedigree, you know, Governor Sim has a pedigree. Even Amechi will attest to. This is a man with, you know, very meticulous and very, you know, very much down to his functions and duties, handling finances. There are certain cases I would have cited, but I would not for now. But what I'm saying is, even before Wike came, for Wike to even rely, maybe kind of to see through Governor Fubara then as just Mr. Fubara, you know, to see him as somebody fit to become his successor also goes a long way to tell about who the man is. There's something about Wike that you will not take away from him.
That particular point that you made, that maybe what former Governor Wike saw in Sansim Fubara to say that, you know, he's a real ideal man. Maybe others will say, maybe he saw him as somebody that could extend, quote unquote, his hegemony, his foothold on the state. Would that be wrong?
No. There's something
because
about
they worked
Wike
together for a long time.
I'm coming. There's something
whatever I want.
I'm coming. There's something about Wike that you need to know.
What's that?
Wike might be doing what we do not like today. Are you getting me? Wike might be doing what we or me do not like today, but there is something about Wike that you can't take away from him. Are you understanding me? He knows, he sees through some of the people he works with. The only thing was that, maybe he expected that things would have just worked the way he wanted, the wrong way, but did not also see that the God factor, that God can also step in, because like the Bible will say, God, he turns the heart of the king, in whatever direction he wants. So God may have also did something to ensure that whatever hidden agenda he had,
all right. We'll try and connect with Honourable Odike on this matter, because I wanted to ask him, yes, God is supreme and he's sovereign, but I wanted to ask, was God involved when agreements were being made? Was God, involved when primaries were being run? When ambition was the order of the day? And, Barrister Nwala, are you with us?
Angle. Hello?
Oh,
no,
okay.
What agreements?
Okay, all right. Please land on your thoughts, Barrister. I mean, Honourable Odike.
Yeah, to summarize, like he also said that Governor Fubara teamed up with Wike to do all that. For goodness sake, Governor Fubara was not the governor of Rivers State at the time. Governor Wike was. And Governor Fubara was not in a position to make decisions for the state at the time. No, it was in the cabinet. Was in the cabinet to make such decisions? Was in the cabinet to make such decisions? He did not make such decisions. So the buck stops on Wike's table. Whatever decisions that were taken under Wike as governor should just be, should be on him and not extended to Governor Fubara. By the way, one Rivers man must have become the governor of Rivers State, and that person is Governor Siminalayi Fubara. And so far, so good. He has not disappointed. So we, as a Rivers people, should stand with him. Like I always pray, I pray that, even when he runs through, whenever he finishes his term or his terms as governor of Rivers State, that he should not, be carried away and make the same mistake that people like Wike have done. Let power be given back to the people. Let the people have the power and decide for themselves, so that nobody makes himself a god. And so far, so good. Rivers people will tell you that Governor Fubara has really respected them. He has really shown respect for the people. And that's what we want. Let the people have their way, and not the other way around, where somebody is just up there, choking it down the throats of others.
Honourable Odike, you do not think that the reason why Governor Sim Fubara really allowed the people to, have their say, respects the people, is because he wants to carry the favor of the people? Because if the people are with him, and probably Minister Wike has the support from the central, he has more advantage with the people behind him. Probably that's the reason why he is, tilting towards the people, respecting them, and doing what, they want him to do.
Well, you're trying to look into the motive, but let's just refrain ourselves and look at what he is doing and applaud him for doing well so far.
You don't think we should look into the motives? We should look at the motives too.
No. If you look at the motive, for instance, now, okay, if that is his motive, it's a good one, because but like I said, if you listen to my statement, my prayer for him is that he should not take former Governor Wike, after he's rounded up as governor of Rivers State. Let him allow the people, decide for themselves how they should go and how they will carry on.
Why I'm asking this
want to lord it over the people.
If I may, why I'm asking this is, if there were not to be any rift or rancor between Governor Sim Fubara and his predecessor, who he calls his Oga before, what happened, do you think Governor Sim Fubara will be a people's governor?
Yes, even before he assumed office as governor, a few times I've had interaction, with him, and even from a group perspective, I saw in him as somebody who cares for the people. I remember a particular statement he made to a particular youth group, mostly of youths, on a particular, that was before the election. He told them he's going to govern the state with the youths, with the people. You know, perhaps some people just saw it as a kind of a promise made for political advantage and all the rest. And when I began to see, him playing it out presently, I say, yes, he has kept to his promise, what he said. So I don't think that he's doing it because he just wants to gain an advantage. That's me for you. I look at people and I can tell you by discernment to know who they are. What he's doing is exactly his nature. He's somebody that respects people, respects others. So that's what I believe. And
all right.
He's living up to.
Let me take this as your take home on this matter, or your parting shot rather. Barrister Chitam says something, and many, especially the opposition politicians, said it, that the election of last year, of course, it has come and gone, but we're talking about the process. And many oppositions were stifled. They were denied venues. And, there were back and forth about the conduct of the election, how it was, tampered with different angle and different things, just because somebody was in charge and he said, we are in charge here, and he took it literally. So, and he was doing this because he had a prodigy that he carried on his hands, which is your principal right now. So when you are trying to say whatever happens or whatever had happened during the reign of Governor Wike should be tailored and put on the table of Governor Wike, there was somebody that got the advantage at the end of the day, and this is your principal. So are you saying whatever happened during that time, whatever chokehold, allegedly that the former governor had, that was a beneficiary who is now your principal? What do you say to that?
Okay, Femi, I have already said before now that in Rivers State of over more than 7 million persons, that there would have always been one governor. And that governor today is Governor Sam Fubara.
Yeah, who people say benefited from the high-handedness of his former boss. Okay. Honourable Odike, can you see me?
Well, I will not insist. Rivers people voted him, believing in who he is. And it is based on the vote of Rivers people that he's governor. Even after they have done all that, if Rivers people decided to vote another candidate, they would have done so. That people were, by that laws made by, maybe, executive orders and laws were made by that particular government, stopping people from, easily accessing places for campaign. Look, campaign is just an avenue to, even through social media and other avenues.
But they are important. Media I'm not sure you want to discard the importance of campaigns.
I'm coming. People were also able, everybody, even today, look at somebody like Magnus Abi, who was one of the most vocal opponents of Wike. Today, he's following Wike. He's supporting Wike. He's following Wike. So look, let's leave it. Everybody had their reach to the people. And during the election, the people decided who to vote.
All right.
And in this case, Governor Fubara was voted by a majority of Rivers people.
All right.
And that's where we are.
All right.
So it's not because we did all that. If Rivers people decided to vote against Fubara, Governor Fubara wouldn't have been governor. That's the truth.
Now, let me...
I know Chetan will not agree. Chetan is shaking his head. But I understand. He because he was on the receiving end then. If whoever he supported won the election,
Chetam, allow you
a different story today.
Yes, thank you, Honourable Odike. Allow Mr. Chetam to respond to that, and I'll take that as your parting shot.
Okay, I'm going to just give really quickly. I'm going to just do a breakdown of a few things that have happened. When you try to exonerate the governor from every action of the minister, then while he was governor, it's really unfortunate and it's really sad that you're towing that particular line, and it's something that I least expected in the circumstance. Because let me say this: every action of the governor got the approval of every action of Mr. Wike got the approval of governor. Then why do I say so? People like Okunabon Kotaria resigned from Wike's cabinet. Because he had principal disagreement, issues of principle, and disagreed with Wike on some of his policies and his modus operandi. Left government. If you are not confident about what this person is doing and you are in his administration, what do? You resign and you leave the government. If this fight did not happen, the governor would have been a puppet like he was for the first 3 months in the hands of the minister. And that is why the minister chose him as governor. So because he wanted a puppet to control. This is what we have seen that has happened, that has played out in Rivers. It's just like for Wike is saying that he did a wrong investment and all that, because he never envisaged in his life that the governor was going to have a sharp disagreement with him like he is having currently today. Which of course the disagreement to a large extent is to the advantage of Rivers people. However, that does not exonerate the governor from what had happened during the election.
All right.
And when you say Rivers people voted, I would not also agree. I would not agree, because we know how this thing was fostered down our throat. However, that's on the side. When I also say that the governor is towing the line of the minister, I am not wrong. I give an example. This last local government election.
Yeah, we should go.
A man who never contested the election was sworn in as vice chairman of my own local government. And
what local government? Which local government?
Local government. A man, he was returning officer for the APP in the election. The APP lost in my local government by their own arrangement. APP lost 1-1. Meanwhile, the person who was returning officer for APP was now sworn in as vice chairman for the local government, the vice chairman of the local government.
Interesting.
How does that happen? How do we say, we say he's different from the minister? There's no difference between this governor from where I sit and the minister of the FCC. It's not different. We are still in the same backwardness of liberty, and we will not have this bad.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Trust us to stay on this matter and more, in as much as about the people, in as much as about the rule of law, and having the dividends of democracy from Port Harcourt to Odike to Shogbo to Potiskum to Abuja to Kano to Jigawa, everywhere, Jalingo rather, who trust us to stay on this matter. We'll be speaking with some gentlemen, Honourable Bernard Odike, assistant to Governor Simfoba on New Media, and of course, Barrister Chetam Unwala, Pan-Africanist, lawyer and activist. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time and take this morning. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, and this is where we pull the brakes, to return tomorrow, God willing, on this matter and more. You can have a recap of this program on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. We said it is an anniversary week, WSTV at 2, and of course, Rave 91.7 FM at 9. Femi Ojo is my name, God willing. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Of course, we'll see you tomorrow. My name is Evelyn Ohiolei. Thank you for joining us. Return tomorrow for another interesting time. And also tomorrow, Femi, we are going to be having an on-air colloquium by 12 o'clock. Right. And our panelists are people you really want to hear from. The topic of the day, between reforms, political courage, and social reforms. We are going to look at why we are where we are at this time as a nation. And
the reason why we should live where we are.
Yes, where we should be. You do not want to miss this. We are going to be having Professor Tunji Oguyemi in the house, Magaji Boyega Adejumo in the house, and of course Dr. Paul Alaje to speak to this issue. My name is Evelyn Ohiolei once again. Bye-bye.